my name is Chuck. Tim's over there in the corner. I'm going to throw it over to him in just a minute. I always have to give him these warnings that we're going to do loud balls, softballs, so he can kind of pick it up there. But we are Udicci, and we have built a platform over the last decade that we're now moving over to blockchain. It's just one of those things that we sort of knew what we were doing all along. We just didn't know. We were just maybe not doing it in the right place. But we know that right now is the right time in the right place. And, really what we're going to be doing tonight is going through some of our marketing that's getting ready to come through. We're going to give some updates on where that platform is. And we break the night into 3 segments. The first is right now. This is unencrypted, which I guess our opener didn't exactly show that either. So I'll work on getting our worker a little bit better. And just so you're tuning in, each week it's this kind of clumsy because we're always trying to do something new, even when we don't necessarily have to, but we're trying to improve it. We're trying to make sure that we don't have huge reliance on some of the major platforms, that we can get a lot of our independence, so we can have people who are joining us and really take advantage of those peer-to-peer technologies that are out there, the blockchains and that kind of stuff. So anyways, Tim should have plenty of time now that I just rambled to kind of say hello and sort of give you his 2 cents about what we're doing here.
Well, I think it's important to highlight that we are trying to improve things every week. We're always trying something new, and while tonight we're adding in Caster. Now, Chuck, from that link that I gave you, you can actually call that up and follow the chat. So that way, just stop. I think you could just pause the video and let the chat will still be live. So I don't.
The invite cam or the
Caster? The Caster link.
The Caster link. So I'll have to sort of do that over and see what happens.
Yeah, because we should be all set over there and everything should be good. And
this will be kind of fun. I'm gonna do it says that we have 1 person watching.
Oh, on Caster.
Okay, so Chuck, it says hi. And I don't know who's watching on Caster, but if you're on Caster, and I don't necessarily know why I'm not seeing the stream on that link on Caster.
You're not?
Should I be? Oh, I know. Wait, you know what it could be? There it is.
Got it.
Right. I kind of don't want to see that stream because the sound is sort of.
Oh, it doesn't autoplay on the link. Correct. I set it up that way. I'll tell you what. There's as much as it is pretty expensive, there are some really nice features that Caster does bring to the table. And whether or not we end up using video or a variation of video in Caster or whatever, this is just one of those additions tonight, because one of the nice things about this is we add in the ability to chat. So you can monitor the chat room and actually see what's going on. And this is, I think, the first time in quite a while that we've had chat available on our streams. So
it still says we have 1 person watching, so that might be me, right? That might actually be me watching, right? Yep. So that's probably what that is.
That makes sense.
I think that's kind of paused. So I got to figure out maybe how to. No, that's not what I want. I'm trying to figure that out. So I think I've got that one paused because I don't really want to be taken. Right. Yeah, I don't want to be running 2 streams at one point in time. So it'll be a little bit challenging to watch the messaging that way. I'm going to have to wonder. I wonder if I can just open it and have just the messaging.
Yes, you can pop it out. If you actually show the messaging window, maybe not on yours, but I saw a place on there where you could actually open it that way.
Oh, yep, I got it. All right, good. So I was able to pop that up. So that's kind of fun if anybody happens to be on Udicci.TV. So what we're trying to do ultimately is get sort of everything off of the Facebook, off of YouTube, so we can kind of have our own independent pieces. And this right now is going out through www.udicci.tv.com. And now I guess there was something else.
You're going to confuse people. TV.com.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah. www.udicci.tv. Sorry.
Like that.
Correct.
Like that. Yeah. Just like that.
All right. You got. Did you put it up there somewhere? Yeah. So I can see it?
So right there on Udicci.tv.
Udicci.tv with some pixelated Thursday night in the background, so it's kind of fun. All right, so for tonight's episode, we're going to be looking at a couple things. Let me just jump over here to our plans on Unencrypted were to go through the pitch deck preview. I know that we've sort of invited some people who might be interested in talking more serious contributions with the team, let's say. Then we want to go through the profile guide, and the profile guide is kind of going to be fun because it's kind of the first role that we're able to roll out for our community commerce program. We'll speak more to that, and then we'll speak to claiming your identity on Udicci. So this is kind of fun because shortly, we haven't decided yet. We're still working through a few things, but probably a couple weeks, most likely, we're going to, people are going to be able to get their own personal identity on the BSV blockchain through Udicci. You're not going to have to pay for it. You're going to actually earn mutual value tokens for establishing your identity. So that's something kind of fun. We were not going to go too far into all of that part of it tonight, but we'll touch on that. And then if we have time, we'll do one of the things we call our history segment, or history in character, I think is what we've been saying.
Right.
So with that, let's jump over. We've got the here we go. The Udicci. Come on. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Now I'm just all sorts of things.
Now, man. See, now the production on the fly isn't so easy when the pressure's on. No, man.
Well, it's when I have 15 windows open.
That's probably not helpful either.
So, okay, here. So I guess what I'm really looking to do here is I am going to just go ahead and share my screen once again. Not gonna play any videos in this one. Actually, we'll just be doing some read through. Awesome. And okay. I'm going to show this screen here, and I'm just going to move stuff over to that screen as I go. The first one, just for the fun of it, because you haven't seen this one yet, this is the Generation Keeper cover.
Oh, nice.
So I have, just kind of still playing with that. That's a product, a service, if you will, that will be available on through Udicci on the BSV blockchain. And for tonight, we are looking at the Udicci kind of introduction. And I can start this over here. We'll move it. And we went through this last week. And wasn't thinking we'd go through it again completely tonight, but again, we did invite a few people and said that they might be tuning in to see this. So I may as well go ahead and we'll put this into present mode. And hopefully you can see that full screen.
Yep, we got that full screen. It looks nice.
All right, so then we'll just kind of get going from here, and we'll do the same thing as last week. So, so what this is for anybody who's tuning in, so we're actually in the midst of producing our media, and this is basically the narrative that's going to go into the final visual media. You'll see some kind of breaks down. You'll see a little bit of an outline in through here, but ultimately this is Udicci's version of a pitch deck. We've had some people who wanted a pitch deck and have been asking for some information. So that's what this is right here. And just like we did last week, I'll just go ahead and kind of go through it. We're working on some voice. We've got some voice to text, that kind of stuff that we're working through. So I will just kind of go through this as I would think that that we're trying to accomplish here. So I'm going to step through this. So we'll come back now here, because there is no background song. That background song that we're using is called "To Catch the Train," and it's kind of the music, the sound that we're going to use through all of our blast off campaign.
Yeah, I wonder why it's not catching the. You've got audio playing now, or
no? There is no.
Okay.
Got it. That's kind of what but I wanted to have an audio intro, so I was hoping you could kind of give us like a vocal version of our audio intro. So I'm gonna cue you up.
Yeah, no thanks.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Wait a minute.
2.
No.
Okay. All right. So let's just get this going. So you heard the intros. Well, no, we didn't hear the sound earlier. So let's go. Udicci, an economic development platform featuring low-code social solutions. I actually believe that this has already been changed a little bit, and I got to go back and check that now. Today's challenges: keeping pace with demands, dramatically changing economic models, large populations unprepared for new technologies, insufficient number of technology developers to meet demand, the cost of education, and the list goes on. Gross income equality within and between nations, personal data security, corporately governed platforms controlling access and distribution. The point is, mankind is now completely rebuilding global economies and face massive challenges which require coordinated efforts to deliver more healthy economic relations and results. The tools of economic systems and monetary policy are now within the reach of the majority of people, where it belongs. While the opportunity should give us great hope and enthusiasm, we also need to face reality. Most of us most are woefully unprepared, but still, there is hope. Udicci's hybrid cloud-to-chain, low-code platform will mediate data between data environments. There's two betweens there. Between data environments and provide a tool for widespread economic development and support. Connecting Udicci's powerful relational data management API to Bitcoin SV's blockchain, well, now that's something special. Udicci's platform is built upon a data mediation model which neatly aligns with today's smart contracts. Data mediation agreements made between relationships enable cross-environment and solution data sharing. Mediators provide the architecture to rapidly develop and deploy solutions with a default social format. Udicci delivers social solutions for enterprise and society, and we will use our platform to support an entrepreneurial economic development model we call community commerce. Community commerce, and mentorpreneurship is misspelled. Community commerce is a professional broker agent business model with an entrepreneurial apprenticeship program which provides opportunity for individuals to explore skills and talents and profit from participation. Udicci will utilize our own social platform to prepare, train, assist, equip, and manage a network of partners. This independent professional network delivers valuable in-demand skills, including marketing, sales, and IT solutions to business and communities. Revenue sharing across the network encourages mutual support and growth. Think about community commerce like Uber for marketing, sales, and IT, and other in-demand services which build local business and communities. Go to market with Udicci. With great power comes great responsibility, and such a powerful tool requires a solid outreach plan. Now hold on, because this is where the story becomes rather fantastic. The wisdom of generations is shared through stories. Udicci brings stories to the generations. Enter Generation Keeper of Family Stories. Generation Keeper is a family story platform. Families can store pictures and other media together with a story to share life for years to come. Generation Keeper utilizes Udicci's Chain Stories, a freely available social solution that will protect family memories for generations on the blockchain. Chain Stories are mini collections of media bits stapled together to tell the story. Chain Stories have many purposes, but perhaps most important is to encourage people to share in their most authentic voice. Brands can use chain stories, and co-op branding has never been easier. Chain stories can be used for training, presentation, product instruction, management, governance, policy, and more. Mediated engagements can be combined with chain stories to create fully contextual data interactions. No more learning on the LMS than managing on the CMS. Engage with Udicci. Udicci reimagined what it means to experience an engaging story, and in so doing allows each person to experience their online world in their own design and voice, where the customer journey becomes a personalized online solution for each person and brand designed by their words and messaging. Secured for generations on the blockchain, supported through a network of enabled economic citizens with a heart for greater well-being. Udicci is committed to hope. We believe greater is possible and want to offer what we can, our platform and our experience for your design and generational safekeeping, for our collective personal and economic well-being. Udicci is now seeking market partners. We are committed to hope. Okay, so that's kind of the next run through. What we're noticing kind of quickly, and that is that our editing game needs to step up just a little bit.
Well, I'll be honest. I missed a couple of obvious ones there, but I didn't look as close for the editing as I should have, obviously. So my apologies for falling down on the editing.
No. I mean, it's just is what it is. I mean, it's the problem, right? Like it's like when you're looking at a thing 1,000 times and you kind of know what it's supposed to say. I'm gonna go try to fix a couple of those while we're here, so I can kind of remember where they were. Mentorpreneurship was misspelled.
Yeah, mentorpreneurship, and then you have something between twice.
Right?
Yeah, because you had between data 2 times. That was funny. It was a tough one to read, actually.
Let's see here.
The catch when you're reading it.
Data environments, and then wasn't there one even before that?
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's see here.
Go back and review the video.
Flag the tape. And see what's going on.
Let's see.
So anyways,
flag the tape. 19 minutes we're in, so go back to about 17 minutes in. We'll be able to find it.
That's probably exactly. Yeah, we'll find another one there. So anyways, that's Udicci in a high-level nutshell sort of kind of way. And I mean, obviously, there's a whole bunch that goes into that, right? I mean, that's like that's even that, which I think is the most accurate and concise way of expressing what Udicci is still a ton.
Yeah,
it's still a lot to bring in.
Yeah, it's a lot because it encompasses so much, and it's a decade of work, and while it is only 2 of us, there's still a lot of thought that went into it. So, and from a business planning perspective all the way to pretty much everything we did, and this is definitely the closest we've ever been able to put it into a context. Hopefully that'll be understanding.
Hold on,
you froze for a second.
I froze. I'm actually waiting for Cheyenne to she's chatting in video. Because she's in here. That's why. Okay.
Yeah, she's in video.
So now that kind of becomes a fun thing, is because all right, so the people in, so Cheyenne, what we would refer to you to is like you're in the studio audience right now. So that's sort of a thing that we have to think through, is that the studio audience wouldn't necessarily be chatting with us on the other window, but I kind of think they should be. So we may have to think through how that's going to work. I mean, I can put both chat windows up there. And how do I get rid of that chat window now out of my screen? Okay, so now, anyways, all of that big, huge thing that we just shared there, that is Udicci, it's got to get broken down and help people understand pieces of it. A big important piece is the community commerce model, which you saw in there was mentorpreneurship that was misspelled. But the idea of that is to build a community around entrepreneurial apprentices, right? Apprentice entrepreneurs. Whoever might be interested in becoming an entrepreneur, and sort of connect them with people who are entrepreneurs and maybe have understandings and skill sets, and maybe even relationships in the marketplace, and you find ways of working together, because we're entering into this time of distributed workforces, and it's going to be quite different. Right now, a lot of people think in terms of hierarchies and roles, and this new environment we're entering into has less hierarchy and many more roles, and you've got to sort of figure out, like, how do you bring together a team that is, fully entrepreneurial, fully, they truly are in every way that independent person, that independent contractor, if you will.
Agent.
But then you work together with them, and it's really with any skill, right? It's like, this is kind of, now we approach this from a technology and marketing path, because that's what we know. So that's kind of what we can bring to the market. And again, that gets into our community commerce, and we're going to kind of talk about the profile guide up next. But yeah, what do you have thoughts on that, Tim?
There's, man, you tripped me on that with the talking about the profile guide, because we go from all of the broad message of what we are trying to bring to market, and there is there's a lot that we can do with the platform, and there's a lot of direction that's going to be kind of driven by the people that are going to join us along the journey, because most people who develop these types of platforms don't understand how their users are going to use it for the most part, until especially they come in, they start pushing the envelope with certain things, and you didn't think it would be utilized for that purpose or that way. And so I'm getting excited to kind of start to see what some of the development is going to happen as we continue to progress along the path. So kind of leading into profile guides and
yeah, so kind of talking about that, like you're exactly right. Like, you design a platform with sufficient architecture to support a wide dynamic population, which is to say, like, hey, some people may want to get together and the pirates, right? They may want to manage their permaculture community, and so fine, you can develop these social solutions and manage that permaculture community. And through in a permaculture community, you're going to have certain roles that people are going to do this or that, and however you want to get that done. But truly, when you're working together, it's about getting those roles together. So you do need to make it very dynamic, and then at the same time sort of simple enough to say, okay, how do we begin?
Right.
And that's sort of where we're at. Is like, okay, we're now getting ready to bring people on to Udicci. And what does that mean? Is we need to sort of teach people how to help develop solutions for themselves, for other people around them. Now, we're not getting into solution development in the next week or two. That's a bit down the line, because that's a little bit more technical in nature, and it does require some skill sets, some understanding of technology.
Well, but conversation about the solutions as well. What is it that you're trying to solve, and what is the process it needs, and what are the requirements that go behind all of that. So yeah, there's a lot more to developing a social solution than onboarding a profile or onboarding a new person.
That's exactly it. So exactly, that is like, we sort of live in a world right now. A lot of times when people say, I need a website, they go and buy a website and they can kind of go do it all on their own. And that's fine. And ultimately that's sort of what we're saying. Yeah, but a lot different and more powerful once you get it to blockchain and distributed, because your markets become sort of mind-blowing, and how do you want to develop it? So exactly, though, the development of a solution is going to be quite challenging, but teaching somebody how to do sales, as an example, I can't remember who it was,
easy.
Paul Getty, or one of them said, like, if you learn how to sell, you'll never go hungry, right? So learning how to sell, or helping people sort of take a step toward what they want, and that's how I'd prefer that we look at sales. Is not that we're out there trying to sell people on what they don't want, but instead that we're actually helping them get what they do want. And so for me, that's sort of
creating solutions that are beneficial to whoever is involved in whatever project that they're doing. There's going to be projects that are created using from goals to planning to the processes, and then there's going to be other things that are going to be more about the the sales and the services and the products, or that type of thing. So we've talked about load boards before, was another one. Load boards is I think probably something that will come back eventually, probably within the next within the next year, especially once we talk to Jeremy. So, and he sees some of this stuff, but there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of areas that we can expand into very, very quickly. And I think by this 60-day sprint, we're going to be able to kind of show exactly what we mean.
And I think that, like, so bringing this all the way back to the profile guide, the profile guide is the most sort of simple example of what it is that we're talking about here. Is like, okay, learn to use Udicci. I mean, when it comes right down to it, the vast majority of the people in the world right now have no idea about blockchain. They don't know how to get on blockchain. They don't know what to do once they're on blockchain. Look, in the next few years, all of that's going to go ahead and just be flipped on its head, and we're all going to be using blockchain in the same way that we're using cloud-based technologies today.
Right.
So to kind of get people to understand that, we actually have to walk them from where they are to, you know, kind of what's next, and help them set up their online persona. You know, right now you go out to Facebook, you sign up, yay, here's me. On Facebook, and now I do what Facebook tells me to do, and I'm under their control. Whereas what we're saying now is that's getting flipped on the head. You're going to get to the point where you're in control. Now, you're going to have some solutions available to you, like a Facebook thing that kind of is social and fun, because we want that. We want to have that interactions with people, and that's where that the chain stories come in. But again, that first step is the profile guide. And when we talk in terms of an entrepreneurial apprenticeship model, this is what we're saying, is that we will very shortly be offering the role of profile guides to people. And really, that is nothing more than helping to onboard it. Now, Tim and I are going to be the first first people acting as profile guides, just so that we can make sure that the process is a little bit smooth. Then we're going to be bringing on some other profile guides, and those will probably be coming out of our studio audience and the people who come on our shows with us, because there's some very important pieces that come with being a profile guide. And one of the most important responsibilities of profile guide is what I call a meaningful welcome. So with that, what I want to do is I want to switch over here and show the role thing that we have. So I am going to change my screen.
All right.
And pick this one. Okay, where's my this, that, there. Okay.
Hold on.
Now I'm going to go ahead and mute myself. So when you think you're ready, just you tell me to hit.
Okay.
So
hold
on. Play, and I'll hit play.
Go ahead. Uh-oh. Oh, you gotta turn your audio back on.
All right. So obviously I messed up a few slides there. I didn't include my I didn't extend my audio long enough. I've got to work on this thing. There's still some, this one's kind of clunky. But actually, I was noticing it as we were going through it. I've definitely got to work on my timing. So I think what I'm going to do is sort of the same thing as I'll just cue this up, and Why isn't this like?
You queuing another one up in VDO?
Yeah. What I want to do is just sort of do the presentation, to present this thing.
Gotcha.
It's interesting that like it comes with sound. So I'm going to first off see if I can stop the sound, which I really can't. I don't think you'll be able to hear the sound, but maybe. All right, so I am going to go ahead and switch this again, and
all right, ready for
let's
you.
see here. All right. So now we're gonna get that echo. So
hold on. They can hear it, but they can't see it. All right, go ahead. Up.
all right, this is not working well at all right now. This it's having some problems with it. Let's see, did I get rid of the sound? Let's see if this is like ready to be.
Are you
No
ready?
sound.
Are you ready?
Okay. All right. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and yeah. So actually, you should be good, right?
Go for it.
All right. So I have to get through a couple like little animated slides. It looks like if it's going to let me do this. All right.
Use the arrow keys.
I can't. Like it's not even. Okay. All right. This is like getting very clunky, but I do kind of want to get the point out, right? And this is it's your role should you decide to accept it. And I kind of want to stop there because I was having some fun with this idea, and I was telling Cheyenne, I'm like, I'm gonna send her a role to be a medicine mama for the family, and it's basically like, hey, we're gonna do some chain stories around healthy herbs and that kind of stuff, and that'll just be like a role that she kind of takes on that kind of gives her responsibility, if you will, of a particular chain story. But really, it's just a way of having some fun. But it's also sincere in that every role actually comes with some responsibilities. So in that example of Cheyenne's in the medicine mama, she'd be have given access to a chain story or something else that's been created inside of Generation Keeper. And that we can work, people can change the role, whatever. It's just kind of having some fun. That's like your role should you decide to accept it. A little James Bond stuff going on there. Right now, the role that we have available and we're offering people is the profile guide. And there are going to be some prerequisites on how to get onto the profile guide. Like I said, you're going to have to probably come into the studio audience and really kind of get to know us a little bit more, kind of talk through this. But the profile guides help others take control of Udicci identities. This important role helps onboard people, businesses, and others onto Udicci's platform. Profile guides can earn Udicci's MVT tokens through each engagement. Profile guides can also act as advocates and earn additional mutual value tokens. With awesome power comes great responsibility. And of course, the profile guide, this is a great responsibility. You're actually going to be helping create profiles for people and bringing them on. So the primary responsibility of a profile guide is to provide a meaningful welcome. The primary, and I said this twice, and a meaningful welcome means that those you help will experience gratitude and honest appreciation. And this is no easy task. You must care to hear and respond with well-being. You are seeking to make a valued connection, a welcome where both you and those who help you acknowledge mutual value. Now, how is that going to be done? Well, at the point that we've actually brought, you brought somebody on, you helped them go through a process. We can do a very simple, like, hey, 5-star rating, whatever we want to do there, and a little, hey, did you find value? What was the value you found? And both people say it. So now they actually, in their own words, have captured how one another brought value to them. And in this case, it should be very simple. Like, they helped me get on Udicci and answer some questions. And so that means the person wanted to get on Udicci, and the profile guide wanted to help people get on Udicci because they earned some MVTs. I mean, it's that kind of simple value if you want it to be that simple, but hopefully it'll grow into more like where, yeah, there's actually relationships that are getting involved with this. Like, why did this engagement happen and how did that get on? So the profile guide performs the following duties. They assist during the Udicci onboard process, timely response to engagement requests, communicate via text and social media, create new Udicci profiles, monitor progress, maintain reliable follow-up. Oh, and maintain reliable follow-up. So those are like the duties that you're going to do, which is basically saying, hey, somebody has clicked on your profile. They say that, they want to engage. You're now going to help engage and get them onto the system. Now, it can go farther once you become an advocate where you're, like we're saying, you could actually invite people as to join your profile in different roles that you would have for them. So again, going back to if you wanted to create the permaculture management, you would have different roles and you'd be inviting them in and helping them get on board, for a unique solution to yourself. So profile guides can earn mutual value tokens and participate in bonus programs. And are you ready to roll? So one of the things about the bonus programs, and we were talking about this earlier, Tim, about assigning a specific MVT, a certain amount, a certain quantity of MVT to each engagement action along the way. And I like that. And then we also talked about, like, once the process has been complete, which in this case would be indicated by both the parties sort of completing the what do I want to say? Completing the yes, I'm done, 5 stars, here's the value. And once that agreement of completion has happened between the two profiles, I'm thinking what we could do is we could add a variable commission bonus, right?
Yeah.
So in the case, right, as opposed to a flat amount, we can start to do variable amounts. And again, and in this case, it's like, here's one process that people are going to learn to walk through, just one. And when they walk all the way through the end and achieve a goal, you get a multiplier, and
right.
And we can work on, like, have some fun about how those multipliers can go. And I know we're going to set aside a certain amount of tokens for the because I think largely the profile guide, I'm going to guess, is going to be around, probably into some of the beta versions, right? Into beta users. As we bring on our first set of people, absolutely. The alpha users, when they come on, you're going to have some, that's going to be the thing. We're going to try to get this on. We want to create a healthy community. We want people who are looking to work together, who have an understanding that, yeah, we need to cooperate with one another. So I can see that this role will be around for a while, and we are, like I said, we're going to set aside a certain amount of tokens that can be earned through this, and we're going to have some fun with it. We have some pools that coin pools that we're going to set apart, and for all the people who are advocates, and we're going to be forming a like a governing board and those kind of things. But we'll put time frames behind these where then all of a sudden whoever did participate will sort of share in this pool because we've reached a certain goal together. And we'll get more into that as we get on. But this is so Tim, thoughts on, obviously there's some work that needs to be done on that, but thoughts on the profile guide?
Yeah, so from a from a technology perspective, the whole, from right down to the point, I love the idea, to kind of go work backwards. I like the idea of having a variable rate like commission. As you were going through that was one of the things my mind went to as well. It was, okay, we could actually have like a little slider tip where they can give more, if the broker is meant to get a 7% commission, they can up it to 10% or something like that. And so allowing people to kind of show show grace, and show that they want to share more, and that, I think that'll be fun. And then from a profile guide, working through the step, actually taking somebody from from the first engagement all the way through to the to bringing them onto a profile, and then helping them kind of work their way through what a portal is and where there's value, and where maybe that profile guide has found value. And I think that there's going to be a lot of opportunities where there could be more shared knowledge. And I think that some of our shows, once we get some of these alpha users on and some of these profile guides, we should have them start come on and start sharing some of their experiences, so that way we can start capturing some of that and use that as kind of like a learning where we need to provide a better interface or better support.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm actually thinking that the profile guides have to come out of the studio audience to begin with.
Yeah.
So that we can kind of like make sure that we're all on the same page, and that it's not like we're trying to control it. What we are trying to do is make sure that there is a kindness and a professionalism and a true caring group of people trying to get this kind of working together.
It's a social platform with a culture.
Right. There you go. All right. So and now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play the claim your identity one. And this is more or less, so the profile guides, they go out and they set up the profile. They, so somebody comes out, like you're watching this, you come out to Udicci. Once we kind of say, now we can do this, you come out to Udicci, you engage, I get the notification. I'm like, okay, I'm your profile guide. I'm going to set you up. I'm going to give you a meaningful welcome. And I'm going to make sure that all is good for you. And now on your side, you've got to do something. You need to claim your identity. And this is, primarily right now because people don't have identities on Udicci's system. So you're going to claim your identity. So I'm going to show that as a video here. And hopefully we should be good on that. All right. And I'm going to turn off my mic again. So once you're ready, just let me know.
Okay, hold on a second. All right, go for it.
Okay, a couple more misspellings. Gotta really up the editing game. All right. So, anyways, that's but that's it. That's kind of the easiest piece. There is like, yeah, you have to kind of claim your identity, and once you kind of claim your identity, you'll have a profile on Udicci, and you will have a transaction written to the blockchain, which basically just secures, the rights to that particular profile. And it's yours, right? It's like, it's yours. Nobody else can take it from you.
Right. That's your identity associated with your Udicci profile. Now, what's even more important about that is how that all plays downstream from this point, and how it can be utilized to secure your data in new and unique ways, but then also be able to actually open up the ability for you to be able to share your data in such a way that you could actually start seeing value from it, from selling products and services and scheduling time on a calendar to implementing a process that you've created.
So yeah, all sorts of stuff that comes from there. And if you're just watching, first time ever being introduced to this, and you're probably completely confused, that's okay. There's actually 10 years worth of videos back there that can confuse you even more. Just kind of know that, like, we're in the midst of an economic revolution. We truly are. I saw it said the other day that we're currently operating on the economic operating system, right? The economic operating system we are currently working on was largely developed sometime in the 11th century. Right, so we're literally working on an operating system that's 800 to 1,000 years old, right? And we keep trying to fix this economic system, and we think we're going to fix it, but no. This is the economic system. It's inherent to the system is that the powerful and those in control of the currency will always remain in control of the currency, and now that's all gone. That's done. It's time. Like, this is a radical change in human history. And people sometimes think that, like, oh, you're overblowing it. No, this is a radical change in human history. Currency is being put in the hands of individuals. We are able to actually we are able to create our own economic policies, our own monetary policies, and put them to work. Now, yeah, we're going to be working in conjunction with the laws of the land wherever we are, but we no longer are subject to the debt like requirements that go with Keynesian economics and that's there. So yeah, this is a radical time. There's a lot to digest, and I know that we kind of threw a lot tonight out there for anybody who might have been tuning in for the first time, and I'd say that, yeah, definitely try to give us a second and another try. And what the next thing is, really, we need to start talking about getting on board. So getting on board is sort of our next part of the game, and that's really getting people into the studio audience. So yeah, we need to start really working on our outreach, getting more people to tune in during the shows and kind of join us as conversation, because that's when we get to answer questions that you have, right? And as opposed to us guessing what people might be wanting, you come on, you share some thoughts, you share what's going on in the world, what do you see, and what are your concerns, what don't you understand, what do you want to understand more of. We have a lot of different people who have some great backgrounds to really help and to help elevate that understanding that we so need to have these days. So yeah, some great stuff coming up out of Udicci's technology here in the next few weeks.
Oh man, it's been moving. 60 days puts a little fire under the butt.
Yeah, right. It does.
Yeah.
And I think, like I said, I called this the next plans at 60 plus or something like that. It's going to be the 60 plus community. I don't know.
We're going to be 60 plus by the time we get there.
I was exactly what I was going to say. It's like, I don't want to be in the 60 plus crowd. I don't want another decade to pass before we get through that set of plans. And I don't think we will. I think that we're going to come really close. We shared some of these. So yeah. Anyway, so I've got to fix some of the editing, some other stuff there that we missed.
No, it was all good.
What else for tonight?
Well, did you happen to go back and try to find the spot in that we had talked about earlier that we were gonna? So we wanted to do a historical segment inside of here, and we wanted to kind of go back. I actually have the video called up. So
are you okay?
Do you know approximately where the moment was that we were talking about?
No.
Well, come on, man. Good grief. Okay, so I'm looking for the moment when I was looking completely shocked or just laughing.
Let's see here. I'm going to try to jump down to that.
Do you remember if it was later? I think it might have been later in the video, and it might have been after the Love 146 stuff.
I really don't know.
Yes.
All I know is that we looked really young there.
Yeah. Shh.
Right.
Holy cow, right? Yeah, so let's see. Let's see if I can bring in so people can see what we're looking at. It's, oh man, so bad.
Man,
Oh
I had
man.
hair back then too.
Yeah. Oh wow, it's funny. It's actually it's playing automatically. I do not understand why it is playing
Yeah,
automatically. So
I
hold on,
don't
I'm
know.
gonna
I don't
do.
think we'll be able to find it so well, because there's a
No,
lot there to cover.
yeah.
But
Well,
anyways, we can speak to it. I
Guys,
mean,
that
so
is
in
actually
that
Udicci's.
was, that goes way back, and we got all excited because
Yes. College to eradicate child
Forbes
sexual.
magazine, we entered something and we won,
well,
like,
wait,
or
yeah.
were
So
selected.
the story is that when we were early on in this, and we were still wet behind the gills, so to speak, with where we were at planning or understanding or anything at that point. And so our pilot was March 5th, 2013. And you can go out and look it up on Udicci.TV. It was at a church, and it was after we submitted So Forbes magazine had this thing that come up and said it was the 100
Promising,
most promised, yeah, Forbes
most,
100, most promising 100 companies, something like that. And we were nominated in the top 100 two times in a row, or 2 years in a row, right? More or less.
I
Yeah.
believe so. I can't
Yeah.
remember. And we
So
were so excited about it until we realized, like, it's all just the way that they get it people to
yeah,
advertise.
yeah. So, and
It's like
it
this.
was
It's like this beautiful little advertising thing, but we get to sit here and say that we were selected to be, some of the most promising small business in America. Which, hey, I mean,
yes.
good enough. Like, hey, here we are 10 years later, and we're hoping and we're promising that if we actually stick together and we get this thing done, a lot of what actually led to that selection, because we were, back then talking about, we were sharing stuff that back then people thought were not going to happen. People weren't really thinking collapse of the dollar. People weren't really thinking that there was the ability to have sort of these sub economic communities, right? Nobody was really even familiar with blockchain. At best case, it was Bitcoin was becoming a thing, but it was still such a theory and such a small part of the pocket of the world, and people could not comprehend some of the stuff that we were talking about. But it sounded good, right? And
Oh.
I'm sure that that's part of the reason that it got selected.
Right.
Oh, did you find it?
No, I didn't find it. I was just showing a little excerpt from the video there. Let's see.
Oh yeah,
Believe hope
when we
never
looked young.
disappoints.
When
We
we looked
recognize
young,
that
we
people
were
face
young.
trials and hardships
Young
every
and
day.
naive. I
Hope
think you
tells
said
us that
wet
we can
behind the
rise
ears. I
above our.
think that speaks to it completely.
Oh, the
Anyways.
funness.
All right. So here's the thing. We normally have our 8 o'clock segment, and tonight on our 8 o'clock segment, unfortunately, Sierra's not going to be able to join us, and I did not get anybody else to replace her. So, I'm sort of thinking, like, do you want to skip this and try to get some of that other work done, and then come back at 9 for the Pirates?
For the Pirates? Yeah, we could probably do that. At least then I could get some of the sites kind of stable again.
Yeah.
So
why don't we? Yeah. Why don't we do that? Why don't we just kind of go ahead and say we're just going to skip Ceox for tonight, and then we'll be back on at 9 o'clock with the Pirates.
Okay. So I'm gonna have to actually. You know what we can do then is we could actually probably stop the stream and then just switch over to the Maverick IO segment, the YouTube Maverick IO, and do it that way. So all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then I'll just I'll just be back on at about 5 to 9.
Okay. Sounds good.
All
So
righty.
anybody, I'm going to put a message up here in a minute that says we'll be back shortly. So.
All right.
Awesome. See you again at 9.
production company, sound and everything else. Okay, we have no idea what we're doing. Suddenly we're live. It's all messed up. It's like there's complete and utter chaos happening right now, and you guys are here to save the day. How
Standard first Friday, man.
Obviously, you don't need me. So we are here with internationally renowned selling authors. Okay, what happened to our camera thing? Got a little Tim. Do we kind of like our camera thing's off? It's which one is that? You want to fix that one? They're all a little. Do we look okay? What's that? Okay, well, you got this one working. All right. So we're actually here tonight to talk about a couple of boys that, let's see, and for the people who are watching and all the people in the studio right now, first off, we truly appreciate everybody who is in here right now. Please check out the art that is here. Talk with Lexington Federal Credit Union. Check out the Rodan and Field. Check out everything that's going on. But more than anything, what we have right now, and I want to say that, this whole framed by Allie thing, she set up this moment. She told me to ask you, why did you write about two young boys getting mooned?
Oh, man, these are hard-hitting questions. I didn't know you were going to go awkward with them. When I was 9. Oh, thank you. Well, you hold the book. There, hold that up. When I was 9, I could only draw stick figures because that's all that I was good at. And I love ninjas, and it was very easy to draw a little mask on the stick figures, and that turned them into ninjas, just like that. So I was 9, and I drew them through high school, and then I forgot about them. And then my friend and I here decided we wanted to do books one day.
And I didn't meet Kevin until we were in college together. And meanwhile, when I am 9, I'm also sitting around drawing comic books over on the other side of the state. And when we got together, we made a bunch of things, including giant pieces of art. We worked on all kinds of stuff.
Professionally. Yes.
Pangs. Entrepreneurship, and one of the reasons I really wanted to highlight you guys tonight, all right, is because very often artists really pursue their passion at the sake of their bills. In other words, they're not like out there making a profit, and you guys are like multi-millionaires now because you were able to draw stick figures.
Only multi-millionaires in Canada.
Oh, yes. And then they were sent to euros and deflated. Okay, but
like $35.
But I just have a little bit of fun. But I do want to say, you guys sold out today.
We did sell out today.
You sold out at this
The good kind of selling out.
The good kind of selling.
Yes.
Yes.
We were at the museum.
Like we're not representing Camel cigarettes or anything. Yeah.
Joey's not smoking Camels. Newports.
We do not.
No, they do not smoke. Ninjas do not smoke.
Except when they disappear in a poof of smoke.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, is that like magic or speed?
It's not tobacco. I know that.
It's speed and it's Batman.
So they don't smoke, but they do have speed?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I told you these were going to be a little bit awkward tonight because we're on social media tonight. All right. In all honesty, tonight we wanted to have you guys on. First off, in great appreciation. You guys have been such good friends to us since we moved in and just allowed us to kind of walk in whenever we can, take over your space, take all of your time, and we truly appreciate that. Drink all of it. I've never had any sake.
Okay.
Oh, wait a second.
Come on.
So first do we find out that they're multimillionaires in Canada, and now they actually have sake.
We might be out of books, but we still have sake.
We are out of. Yeah, we're running a book launch party. We have 10 books.
That's all we got left
For our book launch
That's all
party.
you have left.
That is all we have. No,
That's
9. We're down to 9. We just
You
sold
are
them.
down to 9. Look at that.
Down to 9.
That's like 10%. That's growth happening at
You're
breakneck
right.
speed.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, having a little bit of it is. when you guys realize, all right, take this back. All right, I'm gonna have
fun because right now Kevin's like, wait. It's fun to watch you, honestly. For me, anybody who had had a book that got published, and you guys, it didn't just get published. This is a 4-book contract.
Yeah.
Every now and then I'll say things to like Kevin. I'm like, wow, this happened. He's like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like most of us, if we had a book published, we'd be like, hey dudes, book over here.
There's a simple reason for it. There's too much to do. There's so much to do. We can't get full of ourselves right now because we're busy.
So you're saying fame and fortune is not all it's cracked up to be?
It's better than living in the gutter.
There you go. There's hard work involved. But in all seriousness, this is a 4-book situation.
Yeah, that is true. Second one's written. We're illustrating it now. Yeah.
So, and we're expecting that one out
this time next year.
This time next year. Is it going to be every year we have a new content?
The next 4 years.
And you have the next one's already written, and I'm like super privileged. I already got to see some of the illustrations, but that's what happens when you're here at the Hungerford.
True.
You get to see cool stuff before anybody else did. So if you're only watching and you're that kid over in Germany, nope, you can't see the illustrations. You can't. Now, okay, so also this week we had Willie Monroe, and you're going to be making some special illustrations for his kid.
If Willie Monroe wins his, middleweight championship of the world title?
Middleweight championship of the world title fight.
Okay, if he wins, his kids get free drawings from Chris and I, from Joey and Johnny.
And a book. And a book. And a book.
Good luck, Will.
And a book. That'll take you down to 8 in no time at all. Here's the thing. I think you guys are going to be sold out before we're done with this interview, which hasn't been much of an interview, but I hope you get that we're just having fun today. And I really did want you guys to be a part of our grand opening. I greatly appreciate you taking the time. I know that you're incredibly busy, and I know that you guys are really slammed over there, but it is truly an honor for us that you guys are a part of this, our grand opening.
Hey, man. Glad you're a neighbor.
Oh, it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time while we're here. And Allie takes care of us. Kevin? Oh, I would have brought it to you, but I drank it all.
Barry, you just said I'm busy. I have.
Look at the look. He's like, I'm going to go ninja on you. We still haven't got to why these boys are moon, but here's the thing. I don't want people to know why they're moon. I want them to read the book. We want them to read the book. And
we'll tell you it has something to do with giant robots.
And here's the thing, Kevin was on our show briefly a couple weeks ago, so if you go back, you'll get a little insight into where all of this came from.
And I was stone sober on that one.
You were stone sober? This is where I get confused. How can somebody be stoned and sober?
Oh. I did.
I'm telling you, softballs all night long. I just need somebody to come up. Come on, let's get. Okay. All right, so we're gonna get the show on the road. We're gonna crank it up with some music happening here. But thank you guys again. I know that this is just a little bit of silliness, a little bit of fun, but that's what this is supposed to all be about, isn't it? Thank you again, and congratulations, guys. The big stars of the night. Thank you.
We're gonna have some sake.
Oh, in a minute. Yeah, we're gonna get the music going. All right, David Michael Miller. I think you're the big guy of the night. So why don't we get you going? And I don't know, what time is it? Anybody? Let's see. Oh, it's pretty close to 7. Why don't we just get going? Hey Tim, why don't we go to a break? We'll set everything up. When we come back. We can continue the test as we go there. So, all right, we're going to come back in. We're back live. Of course, we never really left, but all right, now we're actually at like the party. Now the party's going to start.
That's scary.
No, that's really. So, for those of you who actually followed Udicci at all last year, you know that we had the
absolute privilege of helping celebrate your CD release of Poison Sipped. And that was really one of the first times that we were able to do a live stream kind of CD release. And you don't know this, but it was the most watched thing on Udicci last year.
Oh, wow. Cool.
So that was kind of cool. But Amanda still topped you in total minutes. So, anyways, Amanda Ashley, who I'm intentionally now talking about Amanda constantly because she's on tour and not watching anything we're doing. So we just, every show we find a reason to bring Amanda into the conversation. But so last year we met out at Blue Bar and Grill, and we're continuing this. But Poison Sipped came out.
Yep.
And so tell us what that was like. Tell us what it was like for you to release this, because I know a little bit of the success that happened for you. Tell us what that was like.
Well, I mean, the album was just a labor of love. It was something that I just needed to do. There was no intention behind it to, during any of the production of it, even up to the release, that we were going to do really anything big with it. It was just meant to be out there for people to enjoy, whoever might happen upon it. Maybe when I was out doing an acoustic show, I have something to sell. They can send some people home with a little bit of Dave Miller. And but what actually happened was a lot bigger. I mean, we ended up getting a promoter out of LA who picked up the album, and he worked it for good 3 or 4 months, and we ended up we're still on the Roots Music Blues Rock chart. We've been in the top 15 consistently for like 8 months. We actually debuted on the blues chart at 24, which was higher than guys like Robert Cray and stuff like that, which is crazy and shouldn't have happened.
No, I'm stopping you there. It absolutely should have happened, and I get it. You're humble. I understand that also it's your baby. This is an incredible album, and it absolutely deserved to be there.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, it's hard, when you're this close to something, it's kind of hard to see, what it's all about. But it's being played in 13 countries with affiliate stations, well over 500 stations on all sorts of programs. We've had DJs from all over the world that have, fallen in love with Poison Sipped. We've got great reviews from not only magazines, local or magazine. We've got, which is a prominent French soul blues publication, just, all over the world. And
I read that one. It sounded very romantic, but I don't know what it said.
So wee-wees.
Now, tonight, and we're not here to talk business, but tonight is all about the creative entrepreneur. And last year when I met you, it was interesting, and you don't know this, but I am more of the marketing guy, the business guy. You struck me as one of the first musicians that I'd met that actually understood the business of music. So
it's funny because there's not a living person on this planet that understands the business of music. I think I understand some business stuff. I've run my own company. I mean, I have a background in IT and software development, and I had a company, still do, called Direct Media, that I do some side work to try to pay the bills that a musician can't pay. And but in that, I mean, you running your own business, having employees, you start to figure some stuff out. And so some of that I've tried to apply, but there's a lot about the music business that is a black hole. And some of it's just, it's not about the business as much as just doing what you love and what you feel motivated to do. And hopefully along the way, some things can make sense and line up to make it possible to do more of the same.
That's one of the things that I really want to drive home tonight with the creative entrepreneur. The angle there is something you just said. If everybody caught what he just said, we're saying chart-topping musician. We're talking that you debuted above well-established, well-known musicians, and then a couple minutes later said, taking a side gig to pay the bills. So what what we really want people to know, that I don't care what your business is, right? It's you have the creatives, you have the artists, all part of the hunger for it, or whether you're just building a widget.
success builds on success, but success is not the end game.
Right.
And right now you're working on a follow-up album, which is kind of, you're positioning yourself to go kind of two directions and really showing how multi-dimensional that you are. And that's part of what we have to do in business.
Yeah, well, you know, one of the things that well, in the process of recording Poison Sipped, I got to work with some amazing musicians, some of which from the backyard here, the Campbell Brothers, and in that process, we decided to put a band together called Miller and the Other Sinners. And that's a big band. I mean, it's an 8-piece band, and it's hard enough to get a 3 or 4-piece band on the road, you know, much less an 8-piece band. And so we knew that that path was going to be a little tougher. So what I decided to do is kind of do another solo project that would be different from Sipped. So I I met Mike Brown kind of through you guys in an indirect kind of cool way, and that was I got interviewed by Amanda on the show, and she invited me to an open mic that she was hosting, and at that open mic, Mike Brown was there. We connected and hit it off, and so I've been at his studio for the last 3 months down in Geneseo, New York, laying tracks on a kind of a more roots, raw blues album.
We actually, Tim and I were there the night at Firehouse when you guys met. What an incredible, and those open mics, for people who don't get out to the open mics, you really need to. There's a vibe there that just is fun, and Mike Brown. For those who don't know Mike Brown in Rochester, you need to know Mike.
Yeah.
What an
absolutely
incredible guy.
Yeah.
But I don't want to make tonight, we're here to party now, and honestly, with all sincerity, you don't know. Tim and I, 2 months ago, were sitting here going, all right, what are we going to do with this place? We have no idea. I said, you know what, but we're going to have a grand opening. Like, what do we do at the grand opening? First thing out of Tim's mouth, an instant agreement, David has to play. So before anything else was done in our space, it was David has to play. And we want to completely, I know sometimes you probably think we're stalkers. You know, I know that Tim shows up. I pick on Tim because Tim shows up to every place, but I'm the guy who showed up in Virginia.
That's
so,
true.
so, right? I mean, like David's like, what? And he's looking at his wife going, "It's them again." But we're your greatest fans. I just feel like Kathy Bates. I really do. I'm sorry, I just have to hobble you now and write a new song.
It was shocking. It's like we're in the middle of Virginia.
There we go. But seriously, in all sincerity, you really were a major part of our last year. And Tim, and what you don't know, and someday we can have a wine, we'll talk about it. I credit my wife, Tim, and another friend that I have over here, Mike. I never understood music. I never really appreciated it growing up. They brought me to understanding of music. And that night for us was like a thing for Tim and I, because we were able to connect on a way that our business, what we love to do, we found somebody that we were just so happy to be a part of what you were doing, to be a part of your success. It's just something we will always remember. So I really want to thank you for that. And I think I'm going to go have a drink now. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, we appreciate Udicci too, because they helped get the word out, and that's really what it's about. We talked about a little bit about the music biz, and there's a million great artists out there that have wonderful things to say, and you probably don't got neighbors or your friend's kids band or whatever. There's a lot of great music out there, and really there's such a platform online to be able to start, but then you're now one in a sea of people. So even though everybody can go online, so it takes guys like this that are doing something a little different, something that's a little more special to help get the word out. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for what you've done. This This is a song that's kind of become a mantra, and it's off the Poison Sipped album. It's called Hope Finds a Way. You've been chipping away. Yeah, this force of mine. Oh, stealing the gray. Oh, my sands of time. Enough of the same type of stories. Oh, sad old lies. Sad old lies. Been blocking my road to my promised land. Oh, increasing my load with your greedy hand. Desire and regret both bury. Oh, but love will stand. Oh, love's gonna stand. And hope finds a way in a life worth living. Yeah, hope finds a way. Oh, and blesses each day. But somewhere, somehow, yeah, hope finds a way. Hope finds a way in a life worth giving. To the here and now. Here and now. Here and now. To run what we needed in the community and was doing our job. Now we need it for the community. But I appreciate you coming here tonight, and I guess what I'd like to do is I just want to turn the floor over to you and with this question. And I already asked you, but I would like the audience to know, why do you care?
Okay. Well, the pleasure is on mine, first of all. But why do I care? Well, I've lived in the city of Rochester all my life, and I've been subject to a lot of lacking in poverty. And I just wonder, why haven't we eradicated it yet? It's been around since before I was born. And that's
Jim? Okay, sounds like mine. It's cool. We can go with it. No, the background noises are a part of it.
That's probably the president.
All right.
Yeah, well, I wonder why we haven't eradicated poverty yet. So I decided to take a shot at it. And I figured I'd start with the definition of poverty. And there's a lot of definitions out there, and we tend to of Rochester make our own definition, and that common definition is poverty is a mindset. And I disagree with that wholeheartedly. And so I use the Merriam-Webster definition, which came out to be that poverty is to lack a socially acceptable amount of goods and services.
Okay.
Agree with that? So I figure in order for poverty to exist, there has to be lacking. And it brings up the question then, how do we end up lacking? What enables lacking? So I looked at it from an economic point of view, took a look at commerce. Commerce is the buying and selling of goods and services, or you can simply say the exchanging of wealth. And I read up a few things. Someone referred me to the Wealth of Nations,
Okay.
by Adam Smith.
Yeah.
And
Did you enjoy that read?
no, I did
Not
not. That was an awful read, but it was very informative.
Yes.
I appreciated that. But
not a fun thing to read, though, was it?
I also was referred to Ishmael. Very good book.
Okay.
By Daniel Quinn. Very good book. It gives you a different outlook on life and the culture we have, and it's very interesting. You should read it.
That actually sounds interesting.
So, yes, commerce, the exchanging of wealth, and I was able to look into it and realize that it's actually the exchanging of wealth that creates lacking. So I consider that a economic condition, and the way that I figured that out was when we exchange wealth, we form a cost of living that is irrespective to the means of each individual.
Okay.
So you get 3 products on the market. Everyone seems to be able to afford that, but they're limited to how many they can get because their production only can afford so much.
Right.
So it multiplies. You get 50 things on the market. Now an individual has to choose what they're going to get. So they're lacking all those other things. They can only afford 3 or 4. That lacking is what enables poverty. The moment someone has enough to only afford one item and they need another and they can't get it, they're in poverty. The rest of society sees that and they identify that as socially unacceptable.
Okay, so once they need, and that's an important piece here, is that we're talking about need. We're not talking about want. And a few things. When I think of commerce, I would say it's the exchange of value. Why do you choose wealth over value?
Well, there's many ways you can say it. I just say
Okay.
wealth. It's easier for others to understand.
Okay.
I know that when you get too deep into the scientific notations of it all, a lot of people can get lost in that.
And I do. So one of the things we actually started a conversation earlier this summer that we've not been able to really continue as much. And what was there was the hashtag wealth. True wealth. It was actually we're going to do like this whole conversation around true wealth, because to me, wealth is not purely a financial matter, right? That there actually is more to wealth, and that we have to actually define what wealth is in the same way we define what poverty is. And I think as we go through this conversation, we'll start to head in that direction. But as you were saying, like, so just for a little bit of clarity is, if there's one pair of shoes on the market and we can all afford shoes, there's no lack. If we need shoes, there's no lack. If there's 2 pairs of shoes, one does the job, keeps your feet dry, and then there's one, which are the Jimmy Choos, beautiful red bottoms, cost $5,000. Everybody can afford the basic shoes, and some people can afford the Jimmy Choos. There's no lack. There's no poverty, right?
Well, there could still be lacking if there's only one item on the market. You're limited to how many of those things you can attain. You may only need one. You can afford one, that's fine. But if you have 5 kids and you can only afford 2 shoes.
Okay, and that's right. So if you need 5, you can get 5. Yeah. But I guess what I'm trying to differentiate here is, if you need a car and your option is, a Yugo or a Cadillac, because you can't afford a Cadillac, doesn't
cause lack. That's not what you're saying at all. You're just saying that as long as you have your minimum needs met, then you don't lack.
Yeah, that wouldn't be poverty, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Lacking and poverty, they're separate things, but lacking enables poverty.
Right.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about. Well, that is interesting. What about the Wealth of Nations? Was it just the reading, or was there actually things in the philosophy of the free market, or is it just because it is not an easy read?
Well, I just want to first say that I did not finish it.
No, well, you don't. Most people don't really finish most of these books. I'm gonna say you grab the gist,
Yeah.
and then you're like, okay,
Right.
because it gets like, I'm sorry, when it gets into economics, you've got like their minds are like way out there, and you're trying to go like, all right, I got the gist.
Yeah.
You know, to be like, let's just give me a stick figure, put it out there, right? But there is something to be said, because there's no way most people are going to understand the Wealth of Nations, and there needs to be an understanding down to the poverty level, because they're affected by that, and they have no concept that it even exists.
Right.
So, all right, so commerce. So you say that commerce creates lack.
Yes.
That's what I want to understand. So how does the exchange of wealth itself create lack? If I heard you, we exchange of wealth we exchange value, and you're able to get what you need to live, but I amass greater wealth. Is that lack?
The lacking is as simple as you not having access to one of the items on the market.
Right. So it's not right. So it's not. You're not talking that some people can have more. You just want to make sure that everybody has enough.
Well, this is the thing. You have poverty. Poverty are those that can't get what they need.
Right.
Right. And then you have lacking, which is less important. Doesn't matter. Like you have a Lamborghini and I have a Cadillac. I want the Lamborghini. I can't afford it. I lack it, but I'm fine. I'm content.
Right. Because you need a car, and somebody doesn't have a car.
Right.
Okay.
So my wealth, I can't exchange and get that car. But that factor in the economy enables poverty to exist.
How so?
Because poverty is decided by society. The society chooses what's socially acceptable. So if only people in the world, if everyone had Lamborghinis but you had a Cadillac,
right,
you're in poverty.
I'd be in poverty.
Yeah.
And people wouldn't get that. And I think that that's a really tough thing to grasp, right?
Yeah.
Well, how am I in poverty when all I needed is a car and I have a car? Well, by comparison to the rest of the world. And what we're talking about there is culture.
Yes.
What we're actually talking about there is what we have as our societal, new word, I like making up words, societal norms, if you will, and we're measured against those societal norms. And people may not like this, but if you can't measure up to that societal norm, then there is going to be a lack, and that lack may not be material. Now, you say it's not a mindset, but there is a part of lack that does become not only psychological but emotional. And I guess I would look at it this way: there is an organization in town that's opening up a Christmas tree store, right? And it's and people wouldn't necessarily and correct me if this, because I don't want to be speaking for you, but over the years we've heard about people who go and they get gifts, they adopt a family, and they give gifts to that family, and on Christmas morning the kids get to open gifts and everybody's happy. But they've done some studies over the years that oftentimes that if there's a father in that house, that he would walk out of the room as those kids were opening those gifts because he didn't contribute to giving that to his children. So he actually, to use your word, lacked self-respect because he couldn't give. So now one of the new things is to create these Christmas stores where people give to the stores, and for pennies on the dollar, dimes or quarters on the dollar, people who are in poverty can still come buy and participate in choosing the people may think we're splitting hairs here, but and correct me, that father who felt undermined, that's lack.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Right.
And I actually wrote a post similar to that today. Is actually another lack, another issue of lacking that's not about financials, but it's actually about attractiveness. And you probably see it a lot. There's a lot of women and men in our city, everywhere actually, that they would spend their last dime to make themselves more attractive. You can be attractive for many reasons, but you spend it even if it's too much. And we have to learn to draw a line to help us cope with poverty or the issue of lacking. We have to draw a line. Well, in this case, with this man that can't buy the gifts for his children, he is experiencing lacking. But the thing is, if he doesn't swallow that pill and just lack and walk out the room, he's going to put his family in a financial bind. If he goes out and buy gifts, not for a penny.
Right.
Yeah, if he goes out and go above and beyond his means.
So that he doesn't have to. Right. So it's interesting. So when you say that poverty is not a mindset, there is a component that is in our mind.
Yes,
because if you're right, there is a psychological component to it. So you don't know when you say it's not a mindset. I think because a lot of people sit there and go, that poverty is simply like you got to change the way people think, which is true. We do have to change the way we think. I mean, if you think you're not attractive enough and you go spend all of your money to look more attractive, there is a psychological component of that said, what were you measuring against? When you look at poverty, how do you think you go about solving that then? But let's take a break, and let's come back after that break and talk about that. Still not sure I'm straight on the commerce piece. I'm tracking with you, but let's talk about how you begin to solve it.
Okay.
And maybe I'll get back to the commerce piece.
It's pretty much still a...
All right, so we're back, and we're going to talk about the solution, but then we're going to come back and make sure we get back to our conversation we just had off here about, which is poverty's everywhere kind of thing. But so what are solutions? What are some solutions you found?
Well, so everything is pretty much still a work in progress, but I figured to attack poverty, we had to have two phases for it. And I figured phase one would be coping with poverty. And like I said, there's a lot of organizations that exist now that can help with that, but they need to be aware that that's exactly what they're doing. They're coping with poverty, not ending it. And in order to end it, which would be phase two, is to eradicate it, and that would mean that we would have to obsolete commerce. Because commerce, the existing economic system in the world that enables lacking, which enables poverty, it needs to be obsolete. And a way we can do that is with technology that is already existing today, which is called automation.
Okay, so we're going to learn a little bit about this, and this is probably going to be a point where Brandon and I disagree a little bit, because I believe commerce is actually a mechanism of producing wealth, and we could teach it. I think we may end up at the same place at the heart in the end, but nonetheless, before we go there, I want to actually share a meme to kind of try to build a visual picture that you talked about with the coping mechanism, because that very, very much so. That's what, when I was talking earlier about Q, the Center for Urban Entrepreneurship, that I heard more of solution versus coping, right? Because coping, and the meme that Brandon shared, it just kind of showed a woman climbing up a mountain, and you kind of saw this poverty line, and you see her striving to get to the poverty line, and then all of a sudden she gets to the poverty line, and it's housing cost up here. And it's kind of this ongoing joke that says no matter how far you reach, it's never actually enough. And here's what the conversation I would have is that we tend to look at poverty, and in general terms, when we talk about fighting poverty in Rochester, it is those people who are financially lacking good, normal societal norms. But there is a poverty that exists across probably all of middle class America right now, which is we're all trying to strive to, like, we need to retire, and we know that we're not going to have enough to retire. There's still that. There's still a striving because we recognize a lack, but we just don't have to live it each and every day. Though we do live it each and every day, but it's different. So we're talking about a little bit of different thing there. But I think that when you talk about coping it, you're right. I think very often we try to put band-aids. We try to give it a pill. We try to do something like, here's $100, go make it for the next month.
Right.
Here's another $100, go make it for next month. Sorry, we can't give you $100 this month, even though gas prices just went up. But we can give you another, right? So it's like we try to put a band-aid on it, but it doesn't solve it.
Right.
Now, you think there's a mechanism of eradicating commerce. Now, my definition is commerce is the exchange of value. Now, typically you'd say the exchange of goods or services for value. So, all right, let's hear how we automate this. How do we automate everything to eliminate commerce?
All right, well, we would have to do this through research and development. So right now, we already have automation occurring in research and development programs all over the United States and in other countries. It's getting better, but they're doing it to increase profits for companies. They want to find a way to reduce their operating costs, hire less employees, pay them less, or hire two, pay them more,
Right.
build more machines and whatnot.
Build in efficiencies for the sake of profit.
Yes.
Okay.
So instead, we want to take a different look at this. Instead of looking at automation as a thing that's just going to take our jobs and leave us without wealth, we can look at these machines as the things that are going to transform our economy. Instead, because machines don't require incentive, because they don't have to pay health insurance and daycare costs, they produce free, and that would bring our cost of living down to zero if they produced everything. So what we would have to do with
So the machines would have to produce the machines.
Yes.
So we're talking pretty much, just so people get, we're talking pretty much complete artificial intelligence that is designed to care for humans.
Pretty much, yes.
Okay.
Now, there's obviously ethical issues with that.
Yeah, there's some real concerns on that.
Yes,
but theory. We're
Yeah,
talking theory here. Right.
In theory, if we advance automation to greater levels, we'd be able to automate every industry that exists today. And because of that, the cost of living would go to zero. Now, what will remain, obviously, is ownership. Now, because of that, the cost of living wouldn't be zero quite yet. But if this economic system were available for us to see visually, if there were an exemplary model of it, we'd be able to vote it into our country as the primary economic system.
Okay.
We'd be able to take that to United Nations to make that economic systems in countries all over the world. But the ethical issues do put a bias.
Big time. And then there's a lot of technological concerns to that. There's still where the natural resource is going to come from. Are these like a biomechanism that can actually create their own? I mean, it gets to be, there's a lot of ethical, right? I mean, there's a lot of
Ethical
things that get
and scientific.
Right. To be able to eliminate, there'd be no exchange of value because the technology itself would provide all of the needs for people.
Correct.
Okay. Conceptually, I'm there with you, right? I don't know how we would ever actually get there.
Through research and development.
Which has to be paid for.
Which has to be
Right.
paid for. And what other way to pay for it than our tax dollars? Our government spends $2.8 billion a year on defense research and development with
Right.
DARPA.
Right.
Now, there's obviously other programs going on for those purposes as well. Our colleges do research and development programs all the time. But DARPA, their defense research goes towards things like bullets that can steer themselves.
Yep.
And,
Which has
better
great, like, humanitarian benefit.
Yes.
Yes, it's wonderful.
Right. So you take that and you use at least half of that budget a year on anti-poverty.
Right.
Research
So,
and development.
I hear you. I mean, and that's like way out there thinking because you've you've got to change. You've got to be extraordinarily trustworthy. That, I mean, everybody's heart is going to be good, right? Because then all of a sudden there's going to be who controls the automation to make sure that it, it would actually have to be. So, what becomes a person's purpose at that point?
Well, your purpose in life is whatever you choose. Obviously, if you want to achieve, it's actually focusing on achieving things, and what we would be achieving are intangible things. You wouldn't want to have a Lamborghini because
We'd
material
have
things.
Strictly, basically, we just all become philosophers. Not literally, but
Philosophers, inventors,
arts.
scientists. We'd all have an interest in something, and we'd want things that don't exist, things that are intangible. For example, competition would be very strong in the community, like say sports.
Yeah, after I
completely kind of fund the project entirely?
Dude, it's nuts. I was talking today, and I was telling them, and I was in the channel, and I was like, just joking around, man, the way this Blackbeard crypto reviews channel is growing, I'm gonna retire from painting. And the developer comes in, how many X's would it take for you to retire? She's like, that's not what I came to the channel for, but I'm just curious. I'm like, about 10X from here, I could buy the 10 acres and cut down my living cost to nothing. And she was like, oh, that's guaranteed. Get out your lawnmower, basically.
and that's pretty awesome. So, I mean, obviously the opportunity to raise your capital is there. I mean, how do you see it impacting, this group? And I know that you had some ideas how you're going to move forward. What do you see the next couple months looking like?
So what we've decided to do actually is we've decided to go full force on one project at a time. In this case, the podcast. We're going to start the podcast, except instead of starting just doing streaming our Zoom meetings and whatnot, we're actually going to get all the backgrounds, the introduction, brand it properly, get the sounds, and really work on that. Each of us has our own individual thing we're also getting started. So Andy's going to be starting a little jewelry and art channel to grow followings towards the meditation side of things. Felicia she's going to be starting a channel, getting all her rants going on and really digging into all the subjects we talk about here.
Wait,
and then
your rants?
Yeah,
I can go on little rants.
I don't know that we've experienced a victorious rebel rant.
We should.
Yeah, we should. We really should. How do we provoke a victorious rebel rant?
Yeah. Get me talking about a subject I'm really interested in.
And what are you most interested in?
Man, everything. I love all the conspiracy theories. I totally dig into all of them. The flat earth.
Okay.
I'm a big level earther. I look into a lot of the Illuminati conspiracies, the political conspiracies, the true history of America and the world, like Tartaria and the mud floods and World War II, even Hitler.
And how about, are you a multiverser?
Like believing in multiple universes?
Oh, well, the idea
Parallel.
that
or dimensions.
Well, that we're skipping through universes, and that actually the first time that we fired CERN is when we started getting outside of the universe that we were also accustomed to, and that we are actually now skipping across universes. Very interesting.
I had not heard that one yet. I'm gonna
Very
look into
interesting.
it though.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Write this down.
See, she gonna go and research that shit right now.
For real.
Well, look, it's super interesting. I mean, that one's super interesting because it gets into photons, right? And the idea that, within a photon, there's actually these neutrinos that no matter the distance apart they're always in absolute symmetry of relationship. So it's this wild concept that there's no such thing. Well, time itself is not what we think it is. In fact, there's a lot